So Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is going on pretty nicely. It's been out for a number of days now. I'm already on my second playthrough. It's pretty damn fun, but for some reason it suffers from some really sluggish performance to the point that even my 2080 Ti seems to be dropping frames all over the place for no apparent reason. I'm stuttering quite often in many areas, and this problem seems to be generalized not just to the PC version of the game but also on the consoles. Chances are that if you played in the past few days, you most probably encountered some of these performance issues as well, especially in terms of stuttering and frame drops. Well, it seems that EA actually came in with a patch to address some of these issues, at least in part, and this has already gone live on the PC version of the game, with the Xbox One and the PS4 versions following suit later on this week, if they didn't already by the time this video gets posted. But yeah, there's a bunch of changes in here, quite important ones. The patch notes are not that extensive, but they did manage to make a little bit of a difference, at least in my case, and there's a bunch of other changes that I'm going to go over that you might want to apply to your game if you want to improve that performance. So let's jump in it, and if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up on it would be super appreciated. Now let's get started with the patch notes over here. These have been posted on the official EA forums a few hours ago, and these are the changes. First one coming up is the issue that was causing texture flickering that would display on the screen while driving the AT-AT on Kashyyyk. This was one of the first missions that we do on the planet, and it was actually one of the more fun ones, one of the more unique ones, and I had a ton of fun playing it. Unfortunately, just like how this patch note over here describes it, it did manage to have those annoying texture flickering issues going on, and this is something that plagued my first playthrough. So I had this problem when I played it. Hopefully, if you go ahead and play now or replay the campaign, you're not going to encounter this issue anymore, especially after today's patch. The next one fixes an input problem for the arrow keys that would fail to respond within the menus. This has also been addressed with today's patch. Honestly, I didn't encounter this problem, but I guess some people did, so there's that. Dynamic resolution settings also now save properly, and finally the one change that I was talking about, they finally fixed the issue where the game could become slow and loading times would become longer than expected for some reason. So all of this has been fixed in today's patch as well. Now I did go ahead, I tested this around, I played with the game a little bit, and it did manage to fix my performance problems in part, even though not fully. The game still can run sluggish at certain times, especially in certain scenarios when the breeze tend to fly all over the place, when there's fog. For some reason the game keeps running into these FPS drops, even though my system is more than capable of running this game at more than the maximum setting. I'm having about 110 FPS, but it drops to the 70s, and this causes stuttering issues. So of course the developers need to come in with a bigger, more extensive patch to fully address all of the performance issues. Now in the meantime, there's a bunch of changes in here that you can apply to your game, and I'm seeing reports that these actually can help with the overall performance. It seems that for some reason sharing usage data causes in part some of these performance problems, especially the stuttering, maybe some issues with communicating with EA servers, but when I turned this off, this did actually make a little bit of an impact. It did help me out a little bit with the frame rates, though I couldn't test it properly. Of course I can't test this properly, but this is something that I've heard fixed some issues to a lot of people, and there's really no reason to actually even use this unless you want your data to be shared with EA or whatever, so you can go ahead and turn this off as well. As far as the other changes go, if you don't want to impact your graphics too much, there's a bunch of changes over here that you can turn off in the visual section. These include of course the motion blur as well as the chromatic aberration. These were the ones that I turned off. I don't miss them at all, especially the annoying blur, and chromatic aberration is something that I always turn off in games anyway. The impact over here isn't going to be that big, but it can help a little bit with the performance, and even more so if you just don't like motion blur in your games. These are the changes that I have used in my game, and everything else has been pretty much left unchanged. I'm still running everything on the Epic, which is the maximum quality, and yeah, 1440p 144 Hz. This is what I've been doing. VSync turned off. I've actually activated G-Sync on my monitors, and I'm doing that. But yeah, go ahead, play around with these settings. Most important of them all are of course the ones I was talking about, and simply waiting for EA to come in with a performance patch. It's not that the visuals or the graphic settings are over the top or anything. I mean, the game looks good, but there's other games that looked better this year that also ran better. It's just that that the game is not properly optimized, and I actually even played around with these settings. I've turned them down even to high, and I still had the same stuttering and performance issues that I had even with the epic quality, even though my FPS was over 100. So there's that. We definitely need more changes, but in the meantime, the patch that we had today was quite good, and it did manage to make a little bit of a difference. Now let me know down below if you still have performance issue with the game, and if so, on what platform are you playing. In the meantime, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys next time.